Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and since I'm doing this video off the cuff, I don't even know fully where I'm going to go with it, but we're going to talk about teens and the risks of cutting. And cutting, I mean cutting body fat, losing weight, of really what that means and what those risks are. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing. Let's do a little bit of crafting and talk about it. Now, cliff notes for people who don't like these longer videos. Teens who are at a healthy body fat, they're at a healthy normal body fat. I'm not talking about obese teens. Losing weight, intentionally restricting calories or adding large amounts of cardio so that their scale weight starts going down in an effort to lose body fat when they're at the normal height weight range and they're at a normal healthy body fat. They may not be lean, but they're at a healthy body fat, has health risks. It is not necessarily okay, and okay is a relative term, but meaning that's like saying no. Just extremes, it's okay to smoke a few cigarettes a day. It's the people who smoke a pack a day or 2 packs a day that have the highest risk. That's true. But it doesn't mean there aren't risks. So when we say it's okay, I hope that people understand that there are still health risks involved with teens losing weight. There are developmental issues that can result from it. It's not something that should be done lightly, and it's not something that should be done outside of the care of a medical doctor. As a teenager, you shouldn't be trying to lose weight if you're not obese. All right, so the comments I got, I'm going to flip them in here, let you guys read through those a little bit while I talk about this. People try to make the point about sports. They try to say, oh, it's okay, for them to get down to 10 or 12% body fat. It's not the same as 5% body fat. All right, guys. I normally say that for healthy men, not boys, 17 is a boy. Healthy men, 10% is about the bottom limit of where you can go safely without running risk to your health, your endocrine system, mood, all sorts of other problems. For teenagers, it's more complicated than that. For teenagers, the actual act of losing weight itself is problematic. Teens are still developing. Their brains are still developing. Their reproductive system is still developing. Their bones are still growing. Females are not done growing in height till they're 18. Men are not done growing in height till they're 21. Restricting calories intentionally can stunt the growth of their brain, their bones, their organs. It has actual risks. Now, people who are dieting milder and don't lose as much weight and shorter diets, are they at as much risk as someone who loses a bunch? No, of course not. Of course not. But when we say one thing is worse than another, it doesn't mean that the milder doesn't carry risks of those things happening. It could still cause harm. And that's what people need to understand here. And again, if we're going to talk about fitness, we're talking about actual health risks. And I'm not saying that every aspect of my life is perfectly healthy, and I don't want it to come across that way. But I'm honest with myself about the health risks that I do take and the things that I do that are healthy and the things that I do that aren't. And I don't stand there and bullshit myself about it. And that's the difference people need to understand. I know that having too much muscle is unhealthy. I actually am aware of that. It can pose certain health risks to carry too much muscle mass. To be at too high of a body weight, even if you're at a healthy body fat, is problematic. Anabolics, too much testosterone carries certain health risks. But it's a difference between accepting those and promoting those things. When people are promoting teenagers to lose weight, they need to understand they're putting those teenagers at risk. And yeah, I will say that a teenager who is 15 or 16% body fat, that is a perfectly healthy, normal body fat to be at. If that teen intentionally restricts calories to cut down to 10% body fat, they are taking a risk. They are taking risks with their health. They're taking risks with their testosterone production, their estrogen production if they're female. They are taking risks with their reproductive system, and they are taking risks with their overall development and height, and even their brain development. We know that excessive dieting in general, there's been studies showing that repeat dieting over and over can actually risk loss of cognitive ability because, again, it deprives certain fatty acids in the brain. Now, developing teens whose brains are still growing a little bit, this is risky. You are at risk of causing harm. So this idea that it's just okay, that there's no risk, that's not true. And again, those risks need to be assessed. And the problem is that most teenagers, like I said in the other video, teenagers are inherently bad at personal risk-reward assessments. Teenagers also do not truly know what they want in life. No matter what they think, they're almost certainly going to change their mind later. And if they do things that harm themselves, they're going to regret it, And I'll give you a perfect example, because the topic of sports came up, and this is the one where I'm always going to have a pet peeve with. And because sports is the issue, I will say the same thing for teenagers who are trying to get into bodybuilding. It is very, very risky. Now, sports, trying to get leaner to make weight in sports, to be more competitive. You know what? I knew a girl who used to cut weight, cut water, everything, to make weight for wrestling. And she went state in wrestling. And she had decided that she was going to be good enough at wrestling, because she was good at it, that she was going to get a college scholarship. She was going to go to college, and it was going to set her future. And so she would diet down pretty hard to make weight for meets. As a result of that, when I knew her several years after she finished high school, and I knew her very, very well, she, as a result of that, and her doctor told her that it's a result of what you did. It was a result of your dieting down to make weight. This is what caused this. She used to go without periods a lot during that time period, and what ended up happening when she was in her early 20s, she had 2 periods every month. Again, damage her reproductive system, and guys need to realize you can damage your reproductive system too doing this. She had 2 periods every month with much, much larger amounts of bleeding than normal and much more cramps. Like, she would usually spend, every time she had one of these, so this was 2 days a month, she spent it in bed crying, doubled over in pain. We would have to take painkillers and stuff. It was extremely intense. This is the price she paid for that dieting down for those meets as a teenager. She didn't get her scholarship, by the way, and she never went to college. And last time I spoke to her, she was working as a waitress. So she did all of that for nothing. She didn't quite get her scholarship. She got close. She didn't get it. So all of that trying to get an athletic scholarship that she didn't get. And she suffered for it and paid a price for it for years. And there was a chance that she might not have been able to have children later also. I don't know how that turned out. I haven't spoken to her in a long time. But you guys see what I mean. So people talking about to be more competitive in sports. Well, is it really worth it? Are you sure you're going to get that scholarship? Because if you're not sure you're going to get that scholarship, and you're dieting down and taking risks with your reproductive health, taking risks with your growth and development for a sport that's going to be nothing more than a high school sport for you, that's a problem. And your coaches need to be on top of that and be making sure that these students aren't taking those sort of risks, that they aren't dieting themselves down, they aren't losing weight. And again, I'm talking about healthy, athletic people, which is what most of the people coming here are going to be, or the teens asking advice on this. Now, when it comes to obesity, here's the kicker to it. Do obese teens risk some of these same things by losing weight? Yes, they do. They risk some of the same things. Is it as high of a risk because they've got the extra padding? Probably not, because they're not tapping into their muscle and organs and things as much. They have body fat as energy reserves that they're tapping into easier. However, there are some risks to that. But here's the caveat. The long-term health risk of being obese, and if you're obese as a teenager and you don't reverse it, the odds that you're going to stay obese as an adult is going to be higher. The risk of obesity, the much, much higher risk of cardiovascular disease, of cancers, of diabetes from them being fat and obese outweighs the risk of harming their reproductive system, harming their testosterone production, their estrogen production, maybe being a half inch or an inch shorter. Those are smaller health risks than the lifetime risk of heart attack, diabetes, all of that. So in that case, that is a case of risk management. That is saying, okay, you're going to have a much, much higher chance of all these problems if you stay obese, but if you diet down and lose the weight, you're going to have a smaller risk of less serious consequences. So therefore, it's by far the lesser of two evils. That makes a big difference. There's a big difference between saying, okay, this could save your life to do this, and you're going to have some complications possibly later in life. Worst case, you go on some hormone replacement therapy and you can't have children. It's better than dying of a heart attack at 40. Better than dying, better than getting diabetes. So lesser of two evils, and you have to look at it from that way. But there is a big, big difference between doing it to reduce the risk of life-threatening chronic lifelong diseases versus saying, hey, I just want some abs. Hey, I just want to be better at sports. I want to be more competitive at sports. And people who are enabling this, that's the problem. There are adults, there are coaches, there are fitness people out here who are saying, well, it's okay for teens to lose, who are perfectly healthy, at a perfectly healthy body weight, who are active and athletic. It's okay for a growing, developing teen to lose 10 or 15 pounds to be more competitive in a sport. It's okay for them to lose 10 or 15 pounds to get nicer abs. Well, it's not okay if it causes long-term harm to them. I mean, okay is a relative term now, isn't it? It's going to be okay if they don't suffer any problems from it. But what if they do? Because there's documented cases of it. It does happen. It's not that uncommon. Again, excessive dieting is the #1 cause of young men needing testosterone replacement therapy. #1 cause. Now, it's usually because they were anorexic, and there's a very high chance that they were anorexic. But there are still risks to even dieting down leaner. You're still taking a risk of that. Why? Over some vanity? In what world has teenagers ever needed to get abs in order to be popular with girls? It's not necessary. You know what? Most girls at that age aren't going to care that much. They might think they're attractive, but you know what? A little bit of personality goes a long way. Try talking to girls. Try being social. Try getting to know them. Try telling jokes. Try being funny. That will actually come at no risk and no cost to you. It costs you nothing, and you take no risk later in life by just trying to be more outgoing and talk to people more, trying to be funny. And sometimes, even if you're really stupid about it and you come across as completely unfunny because you're trying too hard, that can still be funny also. You know what? It's all about just going out and meeting people. People don't need abs. Teenagers don't need abs. They don't have to get ripped to meet girls. I'm sorry. There are millions of young men out there who get girlfriends, and some of them even manage to get laid, who don't have abs. That's not the key to success. And abs are certainly not the key to success in life. Trust me, most millionaires in their 20s even don't have abs. They don't have a deep six-pack. Majority probably don't. In fact, a lot of them are probably pretty dorky. So, what's the point? What are you guys trying to achieve? Why take these risks? And why are adults advising teens to take these risks and calling it fitness? It's not. Fitness is about health. Fitness is about longevity. Fitness is about having performance in the long term, being athletic for life. It's not about, oh, can I make this teenager make weight class in something, or this teenager have abs but then cause themselves health problems? That's not fitness. That's stupidity. That's recklessness on the parts of adults giving bad advice to teens. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.